Hey, welcome back to Calm English Co. I'm Lucy. And before we do anything today, I want to ask you a question. A real question. Not a grammar question, a you question.
And I'm Tom. And that question is
When you speak English, do you feel like yourself? Or does it feel like you're wearing a costume? Like there's a version of you in English that's a little quieter, a little flatter, a little more boring than the real you?
yeah, like someone pressed mute on part of your personality.
Exactly. And I know so many of you feel this because we've seen your comments. In my language, I'm funny. In English, I'm silent. I have opinions, but in English, I can't express them. I feel stupid, but I'm not stupid.
And today we want to look you in the eye, metaphorically, through your earphones, and say, there is a real scientific, psychological reason this happens. It is not weakness. It is not your fault. And most importantly, it is completely fixable.
So today's episode is a little different. We're going deeper than phrases and vocabulary. We're going into the psychology of language and identity. Why you become a different person in English, and how to bring your real self back.
This is one of the most important episodes we've done. So settle in, get comfortable. Let's talk about this. All right, let's give this a name first. Psychologists and language researchers call it the language identity shift, and it's a real, documented, studied phenomenon.
Which basically means when you switch languages, you don't just switch words, you switch how you see yourself. And that changes how you behave, how you speak, and even how you think.
Has anyone done a study on this? Yes, actually. There was a fascinating study. Researchers looked at bilingual Spanish English speakers, and they showed them the same picture: a woman sitting alone at a table. They asked them to describe what they see.
In Spanish, people said things like, she's thinking, she's feeling sad, she's remembering something. They focused on emotions, on inner life.
In English, the same people, same picture, said, a woman is sitting at a table. She has a cup of coffee. The room is bright. More factual, more surface level.
Same people, same brain, different language, different perspective.
That's the language identity shift in action. And the reason is fascinating. When we learn our first language, our mother tongue, we learn it connected to everything, connected to feelings, memories, family, culture, childhood. The words carry emotional weight.
But when we learn English, or any second language, especially in a classroom, from a textbook, or online, we often learn it disconnected from real emotion. It becomes technical, mechanical. Like learning to drive, you're thinking about every move instead of just going.
And so when you switch to English, your brain shifts into a more analytical, more cautious mode. And that caution, that carefulness, gets read by others and by you as a different personality.
You become more quiet, more serious, more careful, less funny, less expressive, less you.
And here's the cruel irony: the more intelligent you are in your native language, the bigger the gap feels. Because you can clearly see the distance between what you want to express and what actually comes out.
So if you're listening and you feel this, you are probably one of the most thoughtful, self-aware people in this community. That feeling is a sign of deep intelligence.
Not weakness.
Stay with us, because in the next section, we're going to go even deeper. There's a term called the second language self, and once you understand it, everything about your English journey will make more sense. Coming right up.
Okay, your second language self. Let's talk about this. There's a researcher, a linguist named Jean-Marc Dewall, who spent decades studying how people's personalities change in a second language. And his findings are extraordinary.
What did he find?
He found that most people, especially in the early and intermediate stages, describe themselves as less funny, less warm, less persuasive, and less emotionally expressive in their second language. But, and this is the key part, they also describe themselves as more careful, more precise, and more rational.
So it's not that you lose yourself, it's that you gain a different self.
Exactly. Think of it like this: your native language self, that's your full color version. Every shade, every emotion, every joke, every expression. Vivid.
And your English self right now might feel like a pencil sketch of that. The outline is there, the shape is recognizable, but the color is still being filled in.
And the good news is, advanced speakers, fluent speakers, they often describe their second language self as more confident, more direct, and even more professional than their native language self. Because English, especially in global professional contexts, has a different kind of power.
So there's a stage where it feels like you've lost yourself. But that's not the destination. That's just the middle of the journey.
Let me give you a personal example. When I when I was learning my second language and I had to give a speech in it, I noticed something. I wasn't nervous the way I would normally be, and I realized it's because my ego was less attached to it. Like, if I made a mistake in my first language, I felt embarrassed at a deep level. But in my second language, it was like someone else was making the mistake, not the real me.
Which is actually a superpower when you think about it.
Right. Less ego, more risk taking, more freedom.
There's actually research that shows that people make more rational financial decisions when they think through problems in their second language, because there's an emotional distance that lets you think more clearly.
So your English self, that quieter, more careful version of you, is not broken. It's actually a different tool, a different mode of being.
But we want to help you get the color back. So let's talk about what actually causes the gray areas and how to paint over them.
Coming up right after this, Lucy shares something she's never talked about on this podcast before, about the first time she realized her personality completely disappeared in a foreign language, and the one thing that brought it back. Don't go anywhere.
Okay, Tom just promised a personal story, and I will deliver.
Please, I've been waiting for this.
So, a few years ago, I spent 3 months in a country where I didn't speak the language very well. And the first month, I am not exaggerating, I felt like I had disappeared. Like I had become this ghost version of myself.
A ghost?
Yes, because at home I am talkative, I make people laugh, I'm confident in social situations, I have opinions. I'm the person who always has something to say. But in this country, I ordered food wrong every day. I couldn't understand jokes. I laughed at the wrong time. I said yes when I meant no because I didn't understand the question.
That's such a specific kind of loneliness.
It is. It's social loneliness inside a room full of people. And the thing that brought me back, the one thing, was finding one person who spoke a bit of my language. And the moment I could make one joke, just one, that landed, I felt myself again. That one laugh brought me back.
That's beautiful. And it's also a lesson, because language is connection. And when the language breaks down, the connection breaks down. And when the connection breaks, the identity starts to float.
Exactly. So now let's look at the four specific zones where this identity loss happens most, so you can recognize them and deal with them.
Gray zone 1, humor. This is the first thing that goes in a second language because humor is culturally specific. It depends on timing, tone, shared references. And when you can't access that, you stop trying to be funny. And suddenly, you're the serious one, the one who doesn't laugh at the right time, the one who tells a joke and nobody laughs.
Fix. Learn three safe English jokes. Learn three phrases for reacting to humor. That's hilarious. I'm dead. Stop, you're killing me. Even if you don't understand everything, your reaction can keep you in the moment.
Gray zone 2, opinions. In your first language, you can argue, explain, nuance, defend. You have the full vocabulary of your mind available. In English, especially early stages, you can only say basic things. And basic language leads to basic sounding opinions, and you stop sharing them.
Fix. Have five opinion phrases ready. Personally, I think, in my experience, I'm not 100% sure, but from what I've seen, what I notice is these let you share your real thoughts, even with limited vocabulary.
Gray zone 3, disagreement. In your language, you know how to push back politely. In English, disagreeing feels risky. What if you sound rude? What if you can't explain your point fast enough? So you just nod. You agree, even when you don't.
Fix. Learn soft disagreement phrases. I see what you mean, but that's interesting. I think I look at it a bit differently. I'm not sure I agree completely. Can I share my perspective? These let you be yourself without burning bridges.
Gray zone 4, emotions. This is the deepest one. When something makes you happy, truly happy, can you express that in English the way you can in your first language? When something hurts? When you're frustrated? When you love something?
Most people can't. Not yet. And so their English emotional range is flat. Fine. Good. Okay. Nice.
While inside, they're magnificent, heartbroken, furious, overwhelmed, ecstatic.
Fix. Expand your emotional vocabulary. 10 words a week. Not grammar vocabulary, emotion vocabulary. Words like relieved, overwhelmed, conflicted, nostalgic, at peace, frustrated, elated, uneasy. The richer your emotional vocabulary, the more of yourself you can bring into English.
Coming up, the part of the episode everyone's been waiting for: how to actually close the gap, how to start becoming yourself in English again. We've got a 5-step framework, and it works. Stay right there.
All right. 5 steps. Practical, real, doable. Let's go through each one.
Step 1, anchor yourself with your story. The fastest way to feel like yourself in any language is to tell a story about your own life, because it's yours. Nobody knows it better than you. And when you tell it, even with simple words, your real self comes through.
So create what we call your English story bank. 3 or 4 personal stories that you've told before in your language, and now you translate into English. They can be short, 2 minutes each. Funny memories, embarrassing moments, a time you were proud of something.
Why does this work? Because when you're telling a story you lived, your brain relaxes. You're not searching for words, you're remembering pictures. And pictures are faster than translation.
Practice your story bank until the words come automatically. Then, in any conversation, when you feel yourself going gray, pull out a story. It immediately brings color back.
Step 2. Borrow your personality from English. This sounds strange, but follow me. Every language has a culture attached to it. English, specifically casual everyday English, has a culture of warmth, directness, and lightness. It's okay to be casual. It's okay to laugh easily. It's okay to be enthusiastic.
And the beautiful thing is, when you consciously borrow that energy, it gives you permission to relax, to stop being so careful, to let your real personality find new English clothes.
So listen to native speakers, not just for vocabulary, but for energy. How do they laugh? How do they express enthusiasm? How do they show affection? And experiment with bringing that energy into your own English.
Step 3. Build your signature phrases. Every personality has signature phrases, words or expressions they use frequently that become part of their identity.
In your language, you probably have those things you always say, ways of expressing things that are distinctly you.
Now you need to find the English versions. And we don't mean direct translations. We mean English phrases that feel like you.
For example, if you're someone who is warm and encouraging in your language, find English phrases for that. I'm really proud of you. That's amazing, seriously. You should be so proud of yourself.
If you're someone who's direct and no nonsense, let's be honest. Here's the thing. I'm just going to say it.
If you're someone who is thoughtful and reflective, what I find interesting is, when I think about it carefully, there's something about this that
Pick 5 phrases that match your personality. Make them yours. Use them until they feel automatic.
Step 4. Make peace with the gap. This is the mindset shift, and it might be the most important step of all.
The gap between your English self and your native language self, that gap is not permanent, and it is not failure. It is the natural distance between where you are now and where you're going.
Think about it this way. When you were a child, even in your own language, you couldn't express everything you felt or thought. Your vocabulary was limited. Your range was small. Did that mean you were less of a person?
No, it meant you were growing.
That's where you are in English right now. You are a child in this language, in the most beautiful sense of the word. You are growing. And every episode you listen to, every conversation you have, every phrase you practice, you get bigger.
So instead of fighting the gap, acknowledge it. My English self is still growing, and that's okay. I'm adding color every day. Step 5. Find your English community. This is practical and deeply important. The reason you feel like a ghost in English, very often, is because you're surrounded by native speakers who don't know your story, your culture, your references. You're a stranger to them.
But when you find people who are also learning English, or people who understand what you're going through, something magical happens.
You're not a stranger anymore. You're a fellow traveler.
And in that safety, in that shared experience, your real self starts to emerge. Because you're not performing for native speakers, you're connecting with people who get it.
That's why communities like this one matter. why this podcast matters. You are not alone in this. There are millions of people feeling exactly what you feel, this gap, this ghost, this gray version of themselves in English.
And every single one of them has the full color version waiting to come out.
All right, your challenge for this week. And this one is a little different. It's a reflection challenge, not just a practice challenge.
Tell them.
This week, I want you to write 3 sentences about who you are in your first language. 3 things about your personality. Maybe you're funny. Maybe you're caring. Maybe you're the person who always has big ideas. Whatever it is, write it down.
And then, next to each one, write one English phrase that represents that part of you. One phrase that you can use this week to let that quality come through in English.
Funny person. Pick a phrase like, okay, this is going to sound ridiculous, but caring person. I just want to check. Are you okay? Big ideas person. What if we thought about it differently?
Small steps, but they are your steps, and they will start to close that gap.
Because here's what I want you to know, and please really hear this. The person you are in your native language, that warmth, that intelligence, that humor, that depth, it doesn't disappear when you speak English. It's still there. It's just waiting for you to give it the right words.
And every day you practice, every podcast you listen to, every conversation you push yourself to have, you're handing that person more and more words.
You are not a different person in English. You are the same person, still learning their lines.
That's all from us today. Done. If this episode hit you somewhere deep, share it. Leave a comment telling us, who are you in your native language? 3 words. Just 3. We want to know.
We read every single comment. Every one.
Next episode is coming on. And trust me, you're going to want to be there for it.
It's a good one. That's all I'm saying. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Bye for now.
See you. Keep going. You're doing better than you think. Always.